Welcome to Hidden SQuiDZ Gaming. Today is not a fun topic, but a necessary one, as it is something that happens usually all the time in the Darkest Dungeon, especially if you're just starting out. We're going to analyze how my poor bounty hunter died, and the steps I could have taken to avoid this. Let's see where this all began. This was a champion level dungeon. I did not have all of my max equipment on that I should have had. As you can see, my bounty hunter has only his level 4 weapon and armor. This team composition was bad if it was shuffled, which will happen many times. There is no good accuracy buffs, which means high dodge individuals of 40 plus will be difficult to hit with anything. There is no main tank due to the fact that I didn't give the bounty hunter more HP or his max armor. I walked into the weld with no blight gears. That is 1000% my fault and my stupidity at work. Also, there's really no main damage, which I will discuss later. And the final potential killer is that there is absolutely zero stress heals on this party. I did not equip Cry Havoc onto the Houndmaster because the Houndmaster had to function out of position 2 rather than 3 and 4 like he typically does for me. I obviously have the DLC on for the Crimson Court, and Crimson Court fights are very difficult, and you must have a very good party to handle them. I believe this party was mediocre, and I receive a Crimson Curse onto my bounty hunter, which means later I will have to probably bloodlust him so he doesn't take all the negative effects of losing health and speed and all that, and debuff resistances, which he'll already be losing. Because when an individual is bloodlusted, sometimes they'll act out of manner, which is not what you need. This party is really not geared towards killing the Crimson Court well, because their damage output's somewhat low, and also their accuracy isn't the greatest for those average 30 dodges onto the mosquito-like creatures. My bounty hunter only has 100 accuracy, which means most things are below 70%. I also, as I mentioned in the beginning, did not have any answer for enemies with protection, because there wasn't high damage to begin with, or people who can pierce protection. Now with the mark strategy, I am able to do a lot of damage if I function off of the mark. However, that is a turn of damage I miss, and then I have to hope on a critical to do that mass damage. Therefore, I take 2 people to possibly do what one individual could do. This fight was just one of many that will slowly snowball into my eventual doom. This fight is very stress heavy, and as I mentioned before, I was fortunate enough to have that come hither ability hit because I needed it to, so I could mark him for my musketeer. Now that's some good damage from the mark build, again it's what it's meant to do, but I can't mark every single individual or these fights will go on far too long and I don't have the HP or stress heals to sustain that kind of method. Therefore, I attribute most of this death to a bad party composition, which once again comes directly back onto me. There's no one else to blame for a bad party composition except for me. I'm not going to blame RNG. I could have made this party much better, but I did not. Now we get to another issue, as I mentioned before, this party getting moved. It's not the greatest when it gets moved, because now my Vestal is very limited on her options. And as you can see, the mark strategy did 45 critical, but that's so much extra excessive damage that it's not even worth it at this point, really. And now here's the real struggle. I'm not going to show this. I'm probably going to eventually skip to the point where I kill these 2. Killing these 2 fungal clawlers in the front is excruciatingly painful to watch, and I'm not going to show all of it because it would take forever. That's because I only have one individual who can do DOT damage, and that's my Houndmaster. But because my vessel got pushed to the front, I have to keep protecting her because she can't keep taking damage or criticals because she'll get more stress and then she won't really be able to heal herself because I can't use her better heal. Therefore, this is a horribly painful situation to be in. Now we get to our first giant and hateful Virago fight, which is just a deadly combination, and even worse for the party composition I'm currently having. Once again, I'm very fortunate to hit with that come hither because I need that markability on her. I just try to do extra damage even though it's a 59% because at this point a stun chance isn't all that great. Now the Houndmaster and the Musketeer can function pretty well, but as you can see I got lower damage on the Musketeer which pretty much makes the rest of this fight very painful. And that's why marking strategies, even though they can do a lot of damage, they're not always reliable to do a lot of damage. And now we're going to get hit by Confusion Spores. Now my Musketeer's in front, and now that's one of my main sources of damage gone to kill the Hateful Virago. She does get pushed back one, but that's still not good enough, and now my Houndmaster can only do Hound's Harry, so he can't even do Hound's Rush. This is where you can begin to see the problem coming into play here. If I was able to Hound's Rush, I could have possibly killed Hateful Virago. Not 100%, but a possibility. I have to try come hither again with only 59% again. That where I have to go focus someone else, and it takes me a while to decide because I'm beginning to realize that I'm really underprepared because I don't have the max skills and I don't have the max armor and there's so much dodge, and I got fortunate enough to pull and mark the Hateful Virago. Another issue is though, I actually pulled a Hateful Virago too far forward and now I can't even shoot her with the Musketeer or shoot it with the Musketeer. And as I said, aim shot can't even hit the Hateful Virago, so it's going to get one more turn. Here's my first Death's Door, and this is where things begin to just slowly get out of control, because whenever I have an individual reach Death's Door, it's often not good. And this also is demonstrating that I just don't have a main tank. I don't have someone with insanely high dodge. 37 is pretty good on the Houndmaster, but I'm talking about 50 plus on average. And I just don't have that in this party. I have the Hound's Harry again, finally killing the Virago, but the Virago was going to die anyways, so it was more for the other bleed chance. At this point, I don't know how many more fights you really need to see that this party composition is pretty bad at damage, horrendous when it gets moved, and has no stress heals. This was a poorly made party composition. I'm going to skip this final part of the Giant because there's more things I want to show you. Eventually I do wrap this up, and we're going to go into my campfire abilities and how even those weren't good. So a mistake I already made there, and it was very quick. I used minus 20 stress on the Houndmaster who has 0 stress. I thought it was a different ability that gives you minus stress to all companions, and I messed up and clicked it, so I already lost campfire points on that. I decided to take scouting, and I was also going to remove stress, but then I misclick and put it on the bounty hunter instead. That's 2 misclicks, so at this point I'm pretty tilted and I'm pretty irritated, and those once again contribute to my death. And this next upcoming fight is going to pretty much show the blunders of my way if you decide to misclick twice and also not reshuffle your party. That is such a huge mistake on my end that I did not reshuffle my party. Leaving my Vestal in the front row really leaves her to a lot of susceptible damage to stress, blight, physical, all of that, and she can't even heal that well in the second row, therefore that's a huge blunder on my end. And this is where my Vestal finally gets afflicted, which, as I said before, just adds to the ending result of my bounty hunter dying. This could have been avoided. As you can see, almost all my other heroes have no stress damage except my Vestal, and that's because I have no strong single target stress heals. And now I had to take a full turn to get my whole party back in order. But it's too late at this point. The damage has been done, the mistakes have been made, and it's almost irreversible because I now have no campfire. This is where I bloodlust myself, which adds just more complications because now he can act out of line, he can stress other people out. I receive rabies, which increases my damage, but reduces my accuracy. And as you can see, I've been struggling to hit already. I don't need my accuracy reduced. As you can see, even with a mark, I still only have like 60 and 70% chance to hit Hateful Viragos, which means any accuracy debuff or any dodge debuff would have been greatly beneficial in this party, and I really didn't have any of that. All the things I mentioned in the beginning of this video almost show themselves in every single fight, and at that point you know it's not RNG, as I've been saying 1,000 times. That's when you know that you messed up. When every fight feels difficult, you eventually have to start looking at yourself and being like, what did I do wrong? And that's why I'm making this video, so you can come back and see. Maybe you can think of times where you've done stupid things like this and go, oh yeah, you know, I did that. And right there, that's another level of greed. I Hounds harried and just didn't decide to Hounds rush the Hateful Virago, killing it off straight. And that's a really greedy decision, because I wanted the bleed DOT to do it while still doing other bleed DOT to the Giant and the Fungal Scratcher. And as you can see, that Bloodlust made me do the Come Hither ability on Virago. Missed because his percentage chance to hit is just horrendous. And that's another dodge. You can see all these dodges building, and that if I just had some better skills, some better accuracy, this wouldn't be nearly half the issue it was. And then I had to rearrange my party once again, because the Musketeer can't be anywhere really than position 3 and 4. Being position 2 is obviously not good. Now I get reduced to 0 HP here, and this is the video clip you saw in the beginning. Now watch this level of greed on my part. There's really nothing I can do here. That's not the issue. The upcoming choice is a level of greed. I did not use patch up because I thought my Vestal might be able to beat him, and I was like, I need to kill this Giant. I don't want to patch up. And then, due to my Vestal getting -1 speed for Death's Door earlier, now she's not going to go before that Crawler, which means now I'm going to die. You can say it's unlucky that, you know, 33% chance or whatever it is, 40% at this point. I don't know the exact numbers because I wasn't aware of his quirks and stuff. But that was really on me right at the end there. He could have lived. I could have patched him up. I didn't because, like I said, I was being greedy. But there was a lot of other decisions in the end that really killed my guy. In the end, you can say, you know what, you just didn't patch your dude up. But it's the choices that I had to make. It's the guys I let live long enough. It's the lack of accuracy. It's the lack of Blight Cures. It's the lack of this party being able to function well when shuffled that really ultimately led to my dude dying. Because even if I patched him up, there's no guarantee that he doesn't get hit with like Rend the Mark, where he doesn't get hit and then blighted and then ticks out. I mean, eventually he was probably going to die this dungeon due to my inability to do things well. Thank you for watching. I hope you can take these lessons, look at your parties in the past, and understand that sometimes we were our own cause of death before we ever stepped foot into the dungeon. Like and subscribe below.